this is April. Welcome to Crochet After Dark podcast episode number 4. In this podcast, I love to share with you all things crochet, including my works in progress, my whips, as well as my finished objects. On occasion, I'll share with you tips and tricks and other yarn related goodness. Let's get started with my finished objects. This week, I have 2 finished objects to show you. If you've been here before, you may remember that I've been working on this beautiful blanket, the Speedy Granny Ruth. This is a pattern by Krista over at the Secret Yarnery. This week, I was able to finish the last few rows on this blanket, as well as put on these pretty tassels. So this is a really nice adult-sized throw blanket. You can kind of see it's nice and wide, and it's super long. So really excited to have this. It's not, even though it's a nice kind of closed weave, there's no holes in it. It's not a heavy blanket, so it's really drapey and just beautifully soft, and it's going to be a really nice couch blanket or extra blanket for my bed or wherever. But really excited to have this one finally finished. The tassels, it's the first time I actually worked with tassels, and those were kind of fun to figure out and super easy. Yeah, just overall very happy with this pattern. You can get it for free on Krista's YouTube channel, and she does also have a written paid pattern to go along with it. I'm very happy with the way that Speedy Granny Ruth blanket turned out. The second blanket I have to show you is from a vintage 1916 crochet pattern book. And I had to kind of figure out, what the starting multiple was. So they called this a tulip stitch, and I think I'm going to call it a dropped V stitch when I translate the pattern and get it on my website. So I will be creating a tutorial for this soon and get it posted. It just creates this beautiful print, if you can see that. This was done using 3 colors of yarn, the blue, white, and yellow. And then I put this pretty little simple shell border on it, which I think finished the project up nicely. So this one is 36 by 36. And the only thing I would say about this pattern is that it is definitely a yarn eater because the stitches are dropping down from the row you're working on to the second row below. So you're skipping over a row. But that does create a nice fabric to where there's not a lot of holes in it. And it creates this beautiful print pattern. The other thing, though, is because it's a kind of a yarn eater, it is a little bit heavy. So this definitely wouldn't be a blanket for a newborn, but it would be a great blanket for a toddler, just, an older child who's able to kick the blanket off, or really probably even durable for a kid that wants to drag their blankie around all day or that kind of thing. And really, if you wanted to work this up for an adult throw blanket, it would be a nice heavier type, kind of even a lightweight weighted blanket. And it's just really nice. So the stitch was easy to work on because it's a V stitch. You're going into the space in the row below. So it was a really easy pattern to work on as I watched TV or that kind of thing, because I didn't have to concentrate on it. So again, I'll post the pattern for this soon on my website, and I'll be doing a video tutorial for that as well. Now, if you watched my yarn haul organization video, you saw that I kind of tidied up my craft and yarn room a little bit more. And one of the things that happened when I did that is I found this work in progress. So I remember making this blanket several years ago, but I swear I thought I weaved in all these ends. So now that I found it again, I didn't even realize it was still in there. I've got to go check, see what's going on here. There's not a terrible amount of ends to weave in. It looks like maybe I did all these and then stopped up here for some reason. So this one, the way that I weave in the ends with this, because they're too thick, this is burnout blanket, I think. They're too thick to go in with a needle. I just do it with a crochet hook. But I believe this blanket was the Marshmallow Blanket pattern, and if I can find the link for it, I'll link it in the description box. This is not my pattern. It was one of the first blankets I crocheted when I started getting back into crochet. And so it'll be nice to just have this done, and then I can put it where it should go with all of the other finished blankets. So that's kind of not even a whip I started. This is more of a found whip, but it's still one I'm going to add to my whips list so that I can get it done and get it completed. And once that's completely finished, then I'll add it to a podcast coming up hopefully next week where I can show it to you as a finished object. So a couple episodes ago, I asked you guys if you would prefer to see a shawl, rectangular shawl pattern or a blanket pattern out of this vintage stitch that I had mentioned, and you guys said a rectangular shawl. So I wanted to show you how that's coming along. So this is 3 complete skeins and about, you know, I don't know, a third of a fourth skein of mandala yarn and sequins. And I have 1 additional skein to go. So I have the rest of this skein and then 1 additional skein. And I'm loving how this is working up. It's going to be a really nice kind of pretty shawl. And I just think having it a little bit longer will be good. And it's a nice good length this way. And yeah, I like it. And it's actually the first shawl. There we go. We got it. It's the first shawl that I've worked on, so it'll be really nice to have it done. And I actually have an event coming up in the next month or so where I have a beautiful black dress picked out, and I think this will be the perfect complement to that. So this wasn't a new whip that I started this week. This is one that you guys have seen before if you're returning to my channel, and it's something I'll continue to work on probably over the next couple weeks until it's finished. But one that I did start this week, because again, I finished these 2 blankets, so I started 2 new whips. So here's one that I started. This is a blanket pattern from Etsy, and it's filet crochet. Now this is the first time I've tried filet crochet, and this is a Be Happy, and I'll link the pattern in the description. So far it's been really fun. You know, what I like about this is that you know when you get to the end of the row if you messed up your count or not, because it should come out exact. So it's really turning out with these nice straight edges, which is really cool. And what I did was I picked some, I had a Lion Brand Pound of Love in yellow that I needed to use up, so I thought this would be the perfect project for that. And then this for the white panel, there's only going to be, this is the end of the white panel, but I used I Love This yarn in metallic, the white, to get kind of a sparkle. But yeah, I love how this is coming out. So I've just got to finish. The panel is going to increase with the honeycombs on the top, and that'll be something I'll work on over the next couple weeks. Now this one I absolutely have to pay attention to as I'm working on it, because you don't want to mess up the counts. So you have to pay attention to what you're doing. So it's not necessarily a TV blanket, more something like if I pop YouTube in the background, I can work on this and then listen to YouTube, you know, where I don't have to pay that much attention. Or for example, if I'm watching reruns, then I can work on this one. The one I think that you guys have been excited to see is, again, one that I've been working on for a while. This is my purple corner to corner, and I wanted to show you the progress. Now, I'm going to hold it upside down because that's the way I'm working on it right now, and so it makes more sense that way. But you can start to see how I'm getting this chevron effect. And so it's going to continue like that, the whole one side panel, and I decided to do this in panels just because it was easier for me to create this half of the chevron in a panel, and that way I could just get it done and work on it in one piece versus having this big wide project to work on. And I haven't decided yet if for the tutorial I'm going to show you just that way or try to work out a way to where you could kind of work it all at once. So we'll see. On the side, I was able to carry up the yarn, so there aren't very many ends at all, but working now on the second half of the blanket, I do have some ends. You can see them on either side, but again, not too many. So I actually should try to keep weaving these in as I go, but it's going to turn out beautiful. And I absolutely love the way that it's looking. It's everything that I had imagined it would be when I thought about creating this project. So hopefully again in the next couple weeks, I'll have that one done. And my last work in progress is another one that I started, and I just barely started on this concept. And it's using a couple different things that I have seen around the net, and then I just kind of combined those ideas that I've seen into this project. So you'll have to bear with me on the ends here, but it's a granny heart, and then these kind of puff stitches in the corner going up they look like little tiny hearts to me, but I'm going to do it. So right now I have pink, and then the white or the print color from Hobby Lobby, and then pink. And so what I was going to do is another white and then another pink. But I may frog this back and actually add the puff stitch in here in the white. I'm not sure. And then because I don't have a pattern, I'm making this up as I go. When I did this row of white and this row of white, I should have increased the number of white stitches. And so I think it's kind of, you can kind of see down here, maybe a little bit that it's ruffling. So I need more stitches in there. So I may have to frog this back and add the extra stitches just so that it looks good. Now on the pink rounds, I am carrying the yarn, and you can kind of see that. I don't know if it's going to come up in the camera. Right here on this row, you can kind of see it, but I think it just adds to the project. So one of the things that happened was I didn't need the pink yarn anymore up here, so I stopped carrying it, and I didn't like the way that looks. I think I want to carry it all the way through and it'll look better. So this is the concept I'm playing with, and you know, anytime I'm kind of designing a pattern from scratch instead of following somebody else's pattern, there's a lot of trial and error. So I'm definitely going to have to frog this back and fix a few things, but I'm kind of keeping notes as I go, and this is going to be a really cute project. I think it's just going to be a baby blanket. So, you know, maybe 25 of these squares once it's all done. It depends on how big they come out. I'll probably make the blanket between 30 and 40 inches by, you know, a square blanket, so by the same height. But yeah, super cute. This is another whip. So that's all I have for today. Nothing really exciting. The podcast is a little bit late this week. I had some personal stuff last week, so I couldn't get it filmed. But I will be trying to film another one at the end of this week and kind of get back on schedule. I'm really excited to get at least one more blanket finished for the month of May, and that way at the first week of June, what I really want to do is like a May wrap-up video where I show you everything that I crocheted, or that I finished, sorry, not crocheted because I worked on a lot of stuff, but everything that I finished in the month of May. And then I also want to show you all of the whips that I'm starting with in June, and that'll kind of launch us into June. So I'd love to hear from you. What are you guys working on? Do you have any plans for crocheting in June? I know that it's starting to get hot, but I still love to work on blankets even in the summer months. What do you like to work on this time of year? Drop a comment below and let me know. Until next time, keep calm and crochet on.